Hi, it's the girl out there right here with you. It's me, Cindy. And this week we are here with Michael Tranmer. Oh my gosh, I said your name wrong. Okay, hang on.
No, keep going, keep going. That was close. This is the good stuff. You got to keep.
Actually, we're just going to say every week I get nervous with everyone's last name. And I was like, I'm not going to ask him his last name because I know it.
And
Michael.
I even wrote it. Did you even get to the part in the book where I explained how to say it?
I know.
You did, didn't you?
I read the whole book, that.
It was, as long it's Tranmer, the N before the M.
It was the N and the M.
November, Michael ER. I actually, when I in the first version of the book that I did, because I talk about this. It happens all the time, right? Where
I know
my last name's not even that complicated, but I was checking into this hotel, spelling out my name, and I was like, well, one day I'm not going to have to do this, so I spelt it out in the book. TRAN as in November, M as in Michael, ER, because it's when you spell it out, it's sometimes challenging to get the N and the M in the right place. But the first cut of the book, I had a TRAN as in Nancy, M as in Michael, ER, and one of the people that read the book like, who's Nancy? Why would you use Nancy? Use a different name than that. So changed it to November.
I just was this morning. I was like, this is the first time I'm not going to have to ask before. How do I say your last name? And then I just did. Sorry, Michael.
No stories.
Sorry. Okay, welcome.
Thank you.
That was the best introduction ever. So just for my listeners, now some people actually do know you because I've spoken of you often. I want to give a little bit of an intro as to how we've met. So we met, and then you can share a little bit, but if you want. We met through the windows of Instagram, those little boxes into our lives. And you had sent me a message just saying that you had seen a good deed I had done or something. And we're curious if I wanted to talk more. And so we got onto a phone call and you had told me that you were doing coaching. And at this time, I had just started to do Reiki for myself, but I had not really opened up to how I could do more or how I could expand that for myself. And so we started to talk, and I agreed that yes, this would be good for me to work with you. And we agreed to do that. And you
not me, but and where are you now?
I know. Well, now, yes, I am now admitting that I am a psychic medium. I am working with people worldwide. I have carried on my studies into so much more. I'm an emotion code practitioner as well, a Reiki master, teaching others Reiki. I've left my job and doing this full time.
Which was always the biggest dream, right?
I know. And I can say this because I remember, and if people scroll way, way back in my Instagram, there's the very first time I actually went on live was because of you, Michael, you saying, Cindy, you just need to get on there and you need to post a video, just start doing it. And I was like, I don't know. I don't know if I want to do that. And no, Cindy, you need to do this. No, I don't know. And so that was all you. And I remember you saying at one point, I'm really excited for when your voice changes. And I was like, what does he mean? And so there were little things that you would say to me along the way that actually, I will admit, irritated the hell out of me.
Yep. But it wasn't. Well, you just said I'll continue to do that right now. But you just said it was all me. But as much as I do, and all the people that you work with, that it's not all you helping them. It's all them helping themselves. You're just being the guide. You're just being that mirror. You're just seeing what their potential perhaps is. You're listening to what they're saying, and then you're hearing where they're stopping or blocking themselves, and you're giving them a different perspective, and opening their mind to, oh yeah, you could do that. You can start that business. You can start a podcast. You can actually do a video on Instagram, and you will not die. And if you want to, you can leave your job, and it may not happen when you want or exactly how you want, or whatever the journey may be, but yes, you can.
Yes. And you had said that. You had said you will leave your job. You had me write down these goals, which we're going to talk all about your book. You had me write down, you will leave your job end of 21 and you will be full in your career 2022. And I remember I sat in my closet, because that's where I used to take calls with you. And I was like, how am I writing this down? This seems impossible to me. How will I ever do this? And I wrote that 4 years ago, writing it down. I will leave my job by the end of 21 and be full in my career 2022. And here I am doing exactly that.
Sweet.
And Michael, you were the first one, because I was doing Reiki training back then. And I remember in my closet saying, so Michael, I think I might be a psychic.
Yeah, and you know what? Your voice has changed. It's the first thing I noticed when we started this call today. I can't remember the last time you and I spoke. It's definitely been perhaps many months, or maybe even a year or so. But
yeah,
your voice has changed, and your confidence has changed, and I'm sure everyone that's been following on your journey is just like, this is great. Keep going. What's next?
Yeah, it's definitely unfolded, and I'm so grateful that I said yes to that, and so grateful that at that point you just definitely stood your ground and were like, no, Cindy, it's just gonna keep going. So why I
will receive that. I will receive. It's something I am working on. When people pour into you like that, it's important to receive that. So it's incredible. I'm so happy for you and for us and for all of this.
Yes. So I had this vision this year. I really wanted to invite more men onto my podcast, and men that have been important in my life, but also and all humans. But really, I think that sometimes we just hear a lot about at least in my work, you hear a lot about the women's vulnerability, and I hear a lot about and that's very important. But I also really am captivated by the men who perhaps haven't yet opened up that side of their journey, or who are in it, or who have done it. And I really want to share this more in the world, because I think the more we can share it, and the more that men can talk about it, it's so vital.
Yeah, I'm glad you're taking this lead, and I would also add, I'll stop going coach mode here in a second here, but I would also add, like why have those conversations with the men specifically? And I was thinking about something similar like this morning, and I guess I think it relates more to the men as well. Like, all my buddies in the WhatsApp chat groups, got friend group here, friend group there, and a lot of it is this conversation and this focus and this energy on all the other news and the crap in the world, and judgment on that, and staying up to date with whatever's going on in the news, and analyzing that, and seeing what could be good or bad. There's no internal reflection. Like, who are we to look out at what other people are doing in the world, and decisions in this, and government, and all the businesses, and all this crap? Like, who are we to look outside and make all these judgments, when so few, especially the dudes, take I do it a lot. I'd probably do it a little bit too much, my self-reflection, but who are we to project outwards when we haven't taken the opportunity to see where we can improve internally, and then so helping others through our own transformation.
Yes, exactly. And so I wanted, yes. So I wanted to just take this time to talk to you, because one, you have written an incredible book. And I also know, besides the book talks so much about your journey. When I met you and was working with you, I think you had already gone through a huge transformation. But I remember there was one conversation we had where you had said you had separated from your wife, and you had said to me, I had told you, well, I was with my husband for 12 years. And so, it's just be prepared. It sometimes takes about half the time to really get over that. And you were like, no, I just need like 1 year.
Oh God, you were right. So it's been 4 years now, and we were together for 12 years. We were married for 6 years. So I'm not sure how that works with your math, Cindy, but and I don't think getting over it, or
Getting
moving
over.
on,
Yeah.
whatever it may be. But I think the point stands that whenever that conversation was, it might have been 3 years ago,
Yeah.
2018. This is right, it was 3 years ago. But even you see the memories pop up on Facebook or Instagram about where our stories that we post a year ago. Almost every single time I read what I wrote or what I post, I'm like, oh God, dude, what were you thinking? What on earth? And why would you even say that or put that out there? Analyze this, that you did this because that and that and that. That's why I know why you did it. But I think that's good. I think that's the point, because I'm a different dude than I was a year ago. I'm a different dude than I was a week ago. I'm a different guy than I was a month ago for sure. I took kind of a I took kind of a break last summer. I was super tired at the end of the spring, just from all the book promotion and life and the talk and all that stuff going on. So I kind of took a few steps backwards through the summer, just kind of became a delinquent a bit. But I've put a focus on this fall to level up again and really take that next step and whatever that means in my personal development. But I'm kind of back on to amping things up now, but that's kind of the point.
Yes. So, okay. So let's talk about the book. Can we start there? And I want to talk about the talk too. But okay, so you wrote this book, and you need to actually say what it's the tell me what the name of the book, so I don't now incorrectly pronounce
the, the
it.
book the book is called Satori Ananda. Satori is Japanese for flash of enlightenment. Ananda is Sanskrit for the bliss of being. And I pulled these two words out of an Eckhart Tolle book that I was reading in the months following my separation, which was 4 years ago now. And these two words really spoke to me because at that time I was having these breakthroughs, these real clarity on why the relationship had ended and who I was and who she was and why things had turned out the way they had and why they hadn't worked out. So I was having these real moments, some of them really, really beautiful, most of them really, really painful, but there were these real flashes of clarity. And at the same time, I was doing really whatever I could to move on and really piece my identity back together. But for the most part, be happy and be content and find that will to move forward. And I was finding that it was when I started meditating, it was when I started journaling, and it was when I spent more time in nature. So it was really during those peaceful present moments when I was fully present that I was finding that bliss, those real Ananda moments, fully present in the moment.
It's I just have to, when I started reading the book, I was reading it, there's just the first chapter or whatever, and reading it from the perspective of myself. And so, and it's interesting because I'm looking at it going, I was the person who said, I'm not in love with you anymore, to my partner. And so looking at it and thinking, and then hearing the other person, it was huge reflection of going, like, I know how hard it was for me to say that to another person. But then actually reading into it and going, it was like I was looking at the eyes of my partner when I'm reading this from your perspective.
Wow.
And it was so huge to see it and then feel it from somebody else, even though I know it's not my partner, but actually to see how somebody else could, your words were really true. And I think for most people, just to understand all the things that you wrote, and like I said to you just before we started, I see you in such a different way than just as I had seen you even on Instagram or you as a coach. We worked together for a really long time. There's such beautiful moments that you've written in there that are so raw, and very real, that I don't know many, and I hate, but I don't know many men that have expressed it that way that I know. And people often will talk about the dates I've been on, or the amount of time I try to like lean into dating, but I've never read like where a man will express like that, where you and your partner on a log at this one point after you've been separated for a very long time. Do you know that part? Well, obviously you know that part.
Yeah, I was there.
And it's like you but it's like you both realize you're not going to come back together. And it's this idea where you are you're realizing that you had tried for so long to make this marriage work, and you had manifested things to make the marriage work, but now you're realizing that you have to do soul work for yourself. That is such a powerful, anyone who's gone through a separation knows that there's still a connection with that person, but then accepting that you have to do this work for yourself.
Yeah,
So,
it was, you know, I think the line was something along the lines of, you know, we were both getting more clear on who we were, and it was clear at that point that it wasn't going to be together moving forward. But I think, yeah, no, I really felt and absorbed what you just said, Cindy. It was really beautiful. And for me, the reason why I wrote the book, and the book, it really details the 8 or so months after my breakup, after the separation. And like I said, we were together for 12 years, married for 6 years, but all the things that you just described about being able to relate these emotions and communicate it and share what I was feeling, all of that was so friggin' new. And it started immediately after she spoke those words to me, that she was not in love with me anymore. Before that, the 36 years before that, I was a lot like the other dudes out there that didn't want to go there, but didn't know how to go there, and just didn't feel there. And so wasn't my fault. It's not their fault. I never knew, again, and why I mentioned this in the beginning, like why it's so important to go there and explore ourselves like that. But for me, that real first drop of a real emotional pain was what cracked all of this awakening open. Like I'd done so much physical pain to myself previously, like Ironman, climbing mountains, biking 245K. Like I had done all that, but none of that had the same impact on me to enter this new world of being able to express all that was going on.
yes, I think that's, you would even, these, and even for myself, I will say, you were even like how you started to change your environment, like looking like one wall always had to look one way, and suddenly you realize like I can create this for myself. And how looking at a conversation, I mean, I'm going to share the whole book, but looking
this is great.
because I got so absorbed into it, because I think for so long you forget who yourself is, or you open in a new way because you don't even realize, you don't even think about it before. But it was like you had a conversation with somebody and you said, before I would have thought that person was strange, and suddenly now you're like, you want to open into them, right? You realize that, you know, it's a person holding a sick dog, and and I think that's, for so long people will say that about me, where they're like, how do you just live without judgment? And it's like, I think sometimes when you're cracked open, it's just, you just know, like it just all makes sense.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, and then it doesn't make sense.
and then
It's certainly been a journey. There'll most likely be a follow up to that book, because
yes,
in the 3 years that have come, it's it certainly wasn't like awaken to happiness and sit there.
no,
I've learned more in the last week and the last month and the last 3 years for sure to fill many books. But I'm super fortunate because I had the opportunity and the time and the space and the resources to create that book and be able to express myself like that, and which is a lot of the same feelings and emotions that a lot of other folks have, whether it's loss of a relationship or loss of a job or death, whatever it may be. It's similar feelings, but to be able to put that out there, and it took 2.5 years to write. I had to learn how to do that, but for you to be able to say so many things resonated, that's such a gift for me, because no matter like what the heck we put on social media or Instagram, Facebook, videos, little photos, captions, you'll never ever really know the person on the other end of the line. Like this is pretty good, but this is way better than just watching a short Instagram clip. But until you have this, or until you meet and feel someone in the real world, you're never gonna really know them. And as much as I try to be authentic and vulnerable and all of that good jazz on social media, I'm still really only putting out a tiny snippet of my life. And as much as I try to share some of the bad parts, I probably don't. And everything I put out really is a manipulation of what I'm trying to do and achieve in the world, no matter whether I'm conscious of that or not. We are just putting out this one blip. So to really, and you mentioned truth in what you mentioned was in the writing, and that's so important, both in writing and public speaking, but even in this exchange. Like, if someone watching or listening to this can really tap in and feel my truth and connect with me, if I'm bullshitting in any sense right now, you will sense that, you'll tap out, and then you'll never trust me again, and then you'll be like on with it.
yes.
And then to be able to do that work, and then not just exist like that in an interview, but exist like that as you go around in your day-to-day life, is fucking powerful.
Well, and I think the biggest truth that anyone, and you can know this yourself, Michael, I don't know, you might not remember this, but I don't read books. So I can listen to an audio, like all of them. I can listen to them. Now I'm obsessed. So I can listen to 6 or 7 in a week. Take it in. But to sit and read is challenging for me. I couldn't put it down. Like, I was just like, this is good. And I think just to really be self-reflective as a female, to go like, and I'm being really honest, how dare I not understand a male's point of view? So I've also, just so everyone knows, I've sent it to my I don't like my husband. I've sent it to my husband, and I've said like, oh, you know what? I dig this. Like, this is really good. Because I think that is something I wanted him to read. And the more, and meditation, like, how have you gotten so deep in meditation?
What do you mean how? You just go sit there and you just be there. But it's interesting. I mean, I'm literally doing the same meditation 3.5 years later that I wrote in the book. I do it every morning for the most part. And has it changed? Yeah, of course. I'm always trying to make sure I'm doing it right. I'm still thinking about the same things. I'm still doing all that cleansing work. But I guess my point is, I recently actually just started working with a new coach that I've hired, because I had not done that in a while. And like I said, I took the summer off to become a degenerate quite a bit, and needed to kind of polish that up through the fall now. And there's no better way to do it than have someone help you. But I've been asking him, like, am I doing meditation right? Am I doing all these things right? And is this on the right path? But it's been good to have that mirror, but also have a couple checks in a new direction to bring in some new tools and techniques.
And okay, because yeah, just listening to how you express it and explain it, you can tell that you really get right in, like that you get it.
Yeah, I mean, we did a process 2 nights ago on Wednesday where she's like, when we went through it, and we're really, it's actually quite, man, we got some crazy shit here, but what I've subconsciously, unconsciously done is relate being alone with being worthy.
Ah, oh, so good.
Which is backwards, right? And so that has prevented me or blocked me from moving on to my next relationship. And we don't need to go down the gory details of what's been going on exactly, but perhaps we could. I actually wrote about it. There should be something coming out soon. Anyway,
just what I talked about last week with a hypnotherapist.
yeah. It's good stuff, but it's like this to go deep enough to get this truth about relating this unconscious belief about, proven to whoever, probably my father, that, I'm worthy by being alone. I can prove it and I can be happy. And that way, that whole thing is blocking me from moving on in my world.
Yes, it's a lot. I know. I just did I was talking about this with mine, where I was like, I have an issue with trust. And then when you go deeper, it's that I actually have a deeper issue of worthiness. It really, when we break it all apart, it's about our own worth.
Yeah, it was mess. We started out with, she's like, so what's the benefit of being single? And I'm like, freedom. I can do whatever I want, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, well, what's the benefit of that? What's the benefit of that? What's the benefit of that? And then you get down to worthiness, and I'm like, yes. Okay, great. So and she's like, so the benefit of being single is that you're worthy. I'm like, wait a minute, that doesn't quite line up. There's something. how can that be? So it's really that clarity and making that connection, and then unpacking that, and seeing how, we really are. And the other element is just this full thrust of self-love, and knowing that we don't need anything or anyone. We're just completely whole and vibrant ourselves, and whatever is meant to come in and match that is really up to our own doing. Once we get that truth and that connection on ourselves, that we are whole and worthy and complete, there's only certain things that can come in and match that vibration.
100%. It's very good, Michael. So that's a lot. So okay, it's a lot.
It's a lot. That's so my point being, on Wednesday night 2 nights ago, she's, after we did this, she's like, you're probably going to be a little bit tired after that, and a couple days to drink some water. And I'm like, whatever, I'm going for a swim, and I'm going to go for a run after this. But it's I was definitely bagged yesterday, that's for sure.
Yeah, these things, you don't even realize how much you're actually taking in, all this work, which again, I think if more males can realize that this work actually will uncover and uncover and uncover.
And so what's the point? Like, what if my buddies are going to watch this perhaps, and the dudes out there watching this are like, well, why like, why would I want to explore myself like that? Not even how, like the how you can get help with the how. You can read the books, right, or the podcast. A lot of people are listening to the podcast too. You can hire people. That's how you get results faster. I don't do coaching anymore, but this would be a good sell if I did, hire me, but I'm not doing that.
So what is the actual?
But why? Because it affects every aspect of your life. And I've done this. Like, I spend so much time and energy either trying to get validation through things I do, books I write, talks I give, money I make, whatever, how I dress, whatever it may be, pictures I put out there, likes on the internet, and all that's bullshit, right? And then so there's that aspect of getting that external validation. And then there's, the other aspect of getting the girl in the car, or whatever it may be, to really build ourselves up as as men, but it's all bullshit, because it could all be taken away in an instant, like it was for me. And then when my wife walked out, I was like, well, who am I now? What's my identity? But the strength in being able to know that we really are whole and worthy, just as we are, is super, super, super powerful. There's this visual that you can do, that if you go into a hospital and you go into a nursery, I don't know what they look like now with COVID and all this business going on, but if you go into the nursery and there's 5 babies lined up,
Mhm.
is one more worthy than the other?
Yeah.
They're all fully deserving and beautiful expressions of life, exactly right where they are.
Mhm.
One's no better than the other. They haven't even done anything. They have accomplished no goals, no jobs, no nothing. They're just there and just radiant beauty. And that's kind of where we get to at the end of our lives as well.
Yes.
But that wholeness and that worthiness to continue to embody that throughout your day is and not get so distracted by all the other stuff is just so powerful.
Yes. Yes. There would, I mean, I could talk to you forever about this, Michael. I could. There was one moment in your book, and I feel like when you're saying, like, when people say, "What's the point?" And people who know me know that really, these are the moments I live for. But you were holding your friend's hands, and you're leaning across the table. It was your birthday, and you just said, like, your birthday really hadn't meant anything, but you were just connecting with him, right? Like, it was just a moment, and before, these things hadn't really happened. But I think that's the connection. Like, that's really what it's all about, when you actually can connect in, and you can cry and you can sob and you can, know that you can trust another to be so completely vulnerable, and know that a person can be across the table with you and let you be completely yourself. And it might be awful, it might feel terrible, right? Like, it's not your prettiest moment.
Yeah, and it took a certain element of strength and growth for him and for me to be aware
Yes.
that he was able to receive that. Because,
Yes.
to be honest with you, when a lot of people that I meet or in my world, they'll ask me, yeah, hey dude, how you doing today? And I'm like, well, are you actually prepared for what I'm about to say to you? I don't think you are, and that's fine, right? That, no
Yeah.
judgment. It just is what it is. But I'm like, yep, I'm fine, or I'm good, or I'll go, better yesterday, or whatever it was. And they'll go, what? You mean you're not okay? You're not perfect? I'm like, oh no, don't worry about it. I'm fine. But for those that in my world have done the work and can handle the truth, then game on. I'll share, just like you have. Like, that's what I've shared, the latest and greatest that's going on in my world, because that's real life, right? That's where we're all just trying to figure it out. And that's the good stuff.
Yes. Well, yeah, I'm aware of our time. I wanted to talk about the TEDx. Can we just quickly,
Yeah.
that's huge, because since the day that we met, you had always said, and I think there's still going to be more stages ahead for you, but you had said you just had this vision of not being behind. Oh, you even wrote that in your book, not being behind stage, but being on stage. And then last year, during COVID, you were just like, I'm going to be on TEDx. I was like, what's going on? So what happened?
Yeah, no, TEDx was cool. I did that in January. It came out in March or April, I believe. We're in October now. It was, a lot of the challenges I have. I don't want to say mistakes, because there's no mistakes. We're always learning, but ways that I've made my life more challenging over the past 3 years. Perhaps I can frame it like that. Was really attaching, and I know this intellectually, but sometimes it takes a few iterations for myself to really embody it and absorb the lesson. But what I've tended done in the past is put a lot of emphasis on the goal or the outcome or whatever it may be, like write a book and then this is going to happen, do a talk and then your life is going to change like this, when of course it doesn't really turn out that way. So even after the book came out 13 months ago now, I was super depressed after that for a short period of time. But I had really had so much expectation on the book coming out, and all these really unrealistic expectations about how I thought my life would change. And that didn't happen, obviously. Maybe it will one day, whatever. But, and also I'd had this companion, this thing that I've been working on for 2.5 years, writing the book, trying to figure out how to write the book and become a writer, that it was my excuse to not move on with my life. But this was really my companion that I'd already lost. So I've heard, and I don't know what it's like to have a kid, but it was a little bit like postpartum depression, right? You birth this thing out to the world and now it's not yours anymore. So there was a huge letdown after that. So my point being, there, same sort of letdown after doing the TEDx, but I had learned a little bit, so I didn't let it affect me as much. But it was a great experience. I was talking to someone about it this morning. Again, for me, and same with the book, it's really about being proud enough of the quality of the work or the creation that I put out there that I can feel good about that. And so when you read it and it resonates with you, or you watch the talk and it resonates, that's kind of all that matters. So I took it very seriously, as I do. I hired 2 of the best speaking coaches in Vancouver to prepare me for that, because the talk that I gave on stage, well, parts of it make me cringe right now, and I'm pretty sure I would do it a lot better, or not better, but differently now, because I'm a different person. But it was I grew a ton in the process to create that talk and to deliver that talk. And I think really that should be the goal. Well, the milestones, like doing the talk or writing the book, whatever it may be, are just things that help pull us forward.
Awesome. Yeah. It's good talking to you.
Yeah, it's fun. We should talk more.
Yes.
I had a fuck. So they did the talk in January, which was great. But I went through a healthy period of growth in March, really exploring shadow work and my darker side and things like that. So that was a huge period of growth through March and April as well, because the talk and not even the talk as much, but I was just getting triggered, or whatever the word is, on all the love and the light world out there, and it just wasn't really sitting super well with me at the time. So I had to explore that and why that was. But so March of earlier this year was a huge period of growth, getting into shadow work and all of that. And so that, yeah, again, so different person from January to March. And then I did another interview in May, which I really loved, because it was a more casual interview. I was just doing it over the phone here in my living room. But when I watch that, I'm like, damn, that's good. I like that. I sort of like that guy and the way he's speaking and the way he's talking and what he's conveying, and he's not projecting things that he's not. He's still exploring who he is and what it means, and how that journey can be inspiring and beneficial to others.
Right. Well, and shadow work, right? Like, I think that's, as soon as you're feeling, I always say that to people, like when you're looking at something on Instagram, or you're feeling something and it brings up an emotion in you, just for anyone who doesn't quite understand shadow work, and suddenly you're like, oh, I feel jealous, or oh, I feel shame, or it's like, okay, sit with it. Did you like my face just there? Sit with it, because it's truly, like you were saying earlier, a mirror within you. It's not to go away from that feeling. It's to just go, wait, what is that for me? And why am I feeling that? What is that I need to actually own and not go away from, to go like, well, why am I feeling that? What is that? And sit with it.
Yeah. And the challenge that I had, and I did this for a while, where I was all love and light, peace and glow. And I'm still like that, right?
Yeah.
You know me, and you can sense that through
Yeah.
our talk right now. But when I was really dialed into that state, whenever I would see anything negative or someone doing something stupid, I was like, that is not in me, right? I am a love and light unicorn. That is not in me. There's no way I could do something bad or think something bad.
Yeah.
And that's bullshit. The way I reflected on the shadow work journey is really like I have the capacity to do just as many horrible things as anyone else, but I
Yes.
make that moral choice not to. But just because someone goes the other direction and does something bad, that does not mean that I am not capable of doing that. I choose to not go there.
Yes, because I think that's exactly, we have a compass, right? But sometimes when we want to place it on them, it's like if we're judging it, then it's like we don't do it. But it's like it's still in us, right? It's just
Yeah.
it's all in there.
100%.
So that's, yeah, I think that's really important, just to know why it's in there, know why you're judging somebody else, to go, actually, well, it's just not gonna do it.
100%.
So yeah, all of those things, I think, oh yeah, thank you. Thank you. If you were, I always like to ask this question, if you were going to give people one piece of advice, if they were heading on the, I know it's going to be tricky, one sort of piece of advice, if they were beginning to this journey for themselves, because sometimes people want to dive in and just like do everything. I think I know what you're going to say. What would it be?
Are you psychic?
I'm a psychic.
Oh, I don't know what I was going to say. Keep going. Build it up a bit more. I started thinking, right? That's the problem with being an engineer. Sometimes I get distracted with my thinking, but no, I would. Okay, no, I know what I was going to say. I think it's, it's one of the things that I wrote in the book with the conversation I was having with one of the women in the book. It's not like it's a book full of me and conversations with women, but perhaps that could be the next book. We'll see how things go. But she was like, you got to sit with it, right? And I'm still doing that now. That's almost 4 years later now. It's, and for me, my biggest challenge has been isolation, like over the last couple of years, and being lonely. Just totally crippling at times, and that's been my challenge. And so my task now is and I've been doing this, and this is what I've been saying to the person I'm working with now, like, what the heck, how much more do I have to sit with this? How much more do I have to feel into this? And I just recognize there's been certain what I've been doing wrong. I've been doing things wrong, literally, Cindy, for almost 4 years in my sitting with it, where I've been sitting with this anger and loneliness at times, and jealousy. And I've been sitting this in anger and this real negative, like, why me? When's this over? I'm doing all this shit, blah, blah, blah. So just that emotion, that energy really repels the exact thing that I want to attract. So the flip is to sit with it. And like we talked about before, just pouring in all that self-love, and we're worthy, we're full, however visualizations or whatever you need to do that, and just really fill ourselves up with all that love. So, but that, what to do, where to start is to really sit with these new feelings and these new emotions. And that's how I started my journey. I started journaling. I'd never journaled or written anything before in my life, because I'm a dude, and why would a dude journal? It's so lame, right? But so powerful, where in the past, when we feel uncomfortable, we'll distract ourselves. We'll go to yoga. We'll go out drinking. I used to have, and I still exercise quite a bit, but I would really abuse exercise. And I would just continue to do all these things, or I watch TV with Netflix, whatever the heck it is. So if you're just starting your journey, literally do nothing and just sit with yourself. Think about the things that are coming up in your head, how uncomfortable they are, journal about them if they make sense, and yeah, buckle up.
Love it. I love that's the truth. Like right now around me, if you could see, I have like 17 journals. Like I just need it. It's like every time now, and I don't have to even look. I always say this to other people. I don't need to I don't even need you to talk to me. I'm like, I just need to think it out. It's what I say to couples too, because I'll work with couples now. I'm like, if you get into an argument, hand your partner just some paper and pen, and then have them come back maybe in 10 minutes so that you don't say words that might hurt each other. Just write it out. Write it out. And then you can come back when you're a little bit more, you've thought it through for yourself. It's just one of my
I'm glad you're doing what you're doing.
Thank you. You were right there at the beginning in my closet.
In Cindy's closet with her. Cindy, you can do this. Your biggest challenge in the beginning was figuring out how to use Instagram and not like right, what button to press, but
it's still a challenge. I know
it is.
I'm just it's so nice to see you. It's been way too long. So good. So good. Thank you. Thank you.
So welcome. Thank you for doing this and creating this and setting it up and holding space.
Thank you.